episode of Game of Thrones is only 55 minutes, so why don't we just do 7 and call it good, right? Well, there's 2 main reasons why we need to sleep. The first is because your brain needs to recharge. Your brain uses more energy than we can supply it while we're awake. So sleep is one of the few times when we can pull up the 300 or so calories that you're gonna actually burn over the course of the following day. The second main reason why we need to sleep is because your brain absorbs way more information than you could ever possibly use over the course of that single day. So it needs to use that time to kind of cut some of those neuronal connections that aren't really providing any benefit or value to you. And that's going to allow it to stay more efficient, more viable, and use its energy more efficiently. Now, we all know what happens when we don't sleep. We get tired. But what does that actually mean? You can think of it as if your brain is starving, and as a result, you are starving. You get hungry. You start to put on a little bit more weight. You start to get more emotional. And it's very tightly aligned with your metabolic and immune system, so the more sleep that you lose each night, more things start to slide. So if you've ever had one of your friends go, "I'm just gonna sleep when I'm dead," well, they're gonna have that opportunity about 12% sooner than everybody else. Over the past 40 or 50 years, there's been a numerous number of man-made disasters that are now starting to become more frequent, all due to operator fatigue. Now, we all know that we need sleep, but some of us just can't get it even if we tried. About 65% of the people in this room have trouble sleeping anywhere between 3 and 4 times a week. 30% of you have it so bad you should probably go see a doctor, and 10% of you have chronic insomnia, which is like a daily battle with your pillow. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this occurs, and a lot of them are societal. We as a society do not believe in sleep. We actually celebrate being very tired. We associate being tired with being productive, which is associated with being successful. It's an idea that anthropologists are now starting to call the cult of manly wakefulness, which is this idea from the early 1900s that, yeah, if you sleep, you're just a normal guy. The guy who had the most to stand to benefit was Thomas Edison in the early 1900s. He basically decried sleep. He slept 3.5 hours, so he told everybody around him and all of his workers, hey, sleep is for the common man, not for the successful man. And ever since then, we know that there's been a steady decline in how much people have slept every single night. Over the past 50 years, we've lost about 2 hours since 1957, and that's continuing to decline. And we see even amongst today's leaders, from the far left of Marissa Myers and Donald Trump, who sleep 3.5 hours to 4 hours each night, all the way to Jeff Bezos and Sergey Brin, who are sleeping 6.5 or more hours a night. Now, if you're not already angry that Thomas Edison and his buddies basically stole 2 hours of sleep for the past 100 years, just know that he actually slept about 10 hours a day, because he didn't count naps. Anyway, it's not just about quantity, though. It's also about quality. We slept magnificently underneath the stars or next to a fire or in a hut somewhere for several millennia. The only 2 reasons why we would ever wake up is because the sun came up or because of a predator. And the predator part is really important because it's not just, hey, buddy, you should really wake up. It's, hey, buddy, when's the last time you ran a quarter mile? Because we're about to do that right now. Our ears are very well conditioned to send exactly this type of signal. We know that anything over 35 decibels over ambient noise will bring us from a really deep productive sleep to a pretty shallow, not very useful sleep. And that's important for the 65% of us living in cities, which, if you haven't noticed, are getting louder, about a decibel every single year. On top of that, our cities, basically 99% of major metropolitan areas, have been identified as having excessive light pollution, where our brain is tricked into thinking it's 8 p.m. and not 10 p.m. What this means is that you may be very happy with yourself that you've set aside 7.5 hours of sleep for one night, but you're still waking up tired and going, what the heck? Why am I still tired? It's because you're actually only getting 4.5 or 5 hours of actually productive sleep. What I want to leave you with is everything in this world is very interested in keeping you awake, and only you are interested in staying asleep. So as much as possible, if you're only going to get 8 hours, or if you're only going to get 6 hours, make those hours count. Do what you need to do to get the best possible night's rest, because until sleep pods become more socially acceptable or able to upload our consciousness into some sort of machine, in the words of one of my favorite children's books, seriously, go to sleep. Thank you.